I feel like this is a good place to start, so let's get into it. I'm Mika. I'm the daughter of the landlord that fell victim to this situation. And I do want to give you guys a part two, but I feel like I should just give you a brief story time or whatever, just to add some clarification and maybe answer some questions I was getting in the comments. So we'll do that very quickly, and then I'll get back to you guys later with all the footage and all the stuff. All right, so boom. Back in 2020, my mom renovated this house all through the summer and fall after we were coming out of lockdown. She invested a lot of her retirement money to bring the house from that old school version that you guys saw in the first frame into something that was more modern. So I'm currently in the house right now, just to give you an example. Like, the POP was done by her. She redid all the tiles in every single bedroom, redid the showers, put in water heaters, the whole works. Like, it was a typical old school Ghanaian house, and she modernized it before we gave it to this tenant. Early 2021 into 2022 is when this whole debacle was starting. He told us that he wanted somewhere residential that he could host his business partners when they come into town. I guess he does a lot of business with foreigners, and he didn't want to put them up in the hotel. So we understood that he was renting a house that from time to time he would accommodate, or he would let his business associates stay in. I hope that's clear. There was no indication whatsoever about this being a bar, a private club, anything that would commercialize it. We were not privy to that. If we knew that, the rent would have been way higher. I started to, I'll say we started to notice that he was making changes not even like 2 months into the lease. I actually had made a visit here. I think I was with one of the workers and I think like a cousin of mine, and we stopped in. We realized he had repainted the entire place without our knowledge, and he started to he had knocked down we had an outdoor gazebo. He had knocked it down and started to build some sort of structure. So that's originally where the problem started. So obviously, as landlords do, we had confronted him about the situation. Now, there's various parts of the story which I won't go into too much detail with because I'm not trying to give too much away. There were various conversations and like confrontations that we had with him with regards to all these changes being made, right? I felt like he would either beat around the bush or make it seem like he was benefiting us by adding this stuff. And I think in order for my mom to get her rent and her return on investment, we were allowing a certain amount of leeway, which I now regret. But at the same time, like, he was going absolutely overboard with it. And it got to the point where his own security would not allow us to get onto the property and see what was going on. Another question, how did we find out it was a bar? Well, a few things. One, the neighbors told us about the noise complaint. Two, I had been invited to a soft opening for a local bistro bar by my friend, we'll call her Amy. Amy was like, I got a little cute spot. Let's go have some champs. Let's chill with the girls. When I tell you that I was following the address to come, and I was like down on Ring Road, and I was coming around the corner, I was like, my mom's house is in this neighborhood. Lo and behold, the bar is my mom's house. At that point, I realized like it was too far gone. The pool had been put in, an outdoor kitchen had been built. Like, the whole entire compound was so drastically changed. So instead of making a scene, I did like record everything. I told my mom about it. I had videos of everything. But that was at that point where we were like, okay, we're not being paid our worth. We need to like go back to the drawing board. But our biggest fear, besides any of the rent or like what he was doing, because I know some people were like, oh, we saw a restaurant and we wanted a restaurant back. None of us are restaurateurs. We're not trying to run a bar or a restaurant. Or like, no, this is a residential building. We are a family. We were trying to rent it out to other families or people who were family oriented. We didn't want to turn this into a commercialized business. I think one big factor was we were almost really desperate to get our return on investment and really just needed him to pay the rent. And what he would do sometimes, which is really embarrassing to admit, is he would like give us just a little bit of rent to like keep us at bay. And then we would be chasing and he would ignore our calls. At one point, which is really sad, at one point he had me, my sister, and my mom waiting in a parking lot outside of EcoBank to wait for him to come and pay rent. He had us waiting there for like 4 hours and he never showed up. These are all instances of the type of human being we were dealing with. Our biggest fear was that he was doing all of these changes in order to eventually take the house from us. This was a serious conversation I had with family members, with my mom and everything, that because my mom doesn't stay in Ghana, I live in Ghana, but my mom is in the States. So we were thinking that he was like kind of slithering his way into essentially making this property his, and when it was time to take the house back after the 5 years, he would have done something with maybe Ghana Lands Commission or something to claim that he had invested a certain amount in the property and the house was his. Listen, I know that sounds ridiculous, but this is Ghana. Anything is possible. Anything is possible. Anyway, the video is long enough as it is. I'm so sorry, guys. I just wanted to make sure that I touched on a few things before I send you guys or like show you guys the part 2, because there's so much more that is said through all the footage that I have, and I recorded as much as possible. I think once we had found out that he had changed this bar, immediately we were like, we need to take legal action. We were looking for a lawyer. We even ended up firing one lawyer because he was highly incompetent, and we got a new one, and God bless Nana, I absolutely love her. But she really saved us, you know, and I think it was about a 2-year uphill battle, and it was probably one of the most difficult things I think my family has had to go through with regards to just trying to keep a house and reclaim something that was ours. So yeah, I will get the part 2 stuff to you guys as soon as I can, but thank you for listening, and I really, really, really appreciate all the empathy. I'm not gonna get emotional. I really appreciate all the empathy that everyone has shown to this family during this situation. So God bless you all.